with JV. I am so excited because we have an extra special guest today. He disrupted the sauce industry and disrupted my heart. We have Mr. Roberts, aka Nick Guillen.
Woo! It is an honor to be here.
It is
Thank
an
you for
honor
having me.
to have you as a guest.
On the big stage. First time in my life on the big stage.
No, you've done lots of podcasts before.
Not like this, honey. You got a whole thing here. I love it.
This is like your first like lifestyle podcast. You're usually going on like entrepreneur podcasts talking about your big business.
I never talk shit. I'm always talking shop, never talking shit.
But you are one of my favorite people to talk shit with. You're such a fun person to just have a little goss sesh with.
We love the goss.
Yeah, because you are like one of the most kind people I know. Like you are somebody who always does the right thing, but you do have like a little bit of like edge to you, you know? You like a little tiny goss.
I get it from my mom. She's the goss queen.
I love talking shit with your mom. Because usually like parents, it could go either way where they just like, they don't want to talk like that. But like your mom always indulges me. And I just love that.
It's funny.
Yeah.
She's very self-aware. And I think naturally when you're very self-aware, you start to pick up on little things.
Yes.
And then you start to dig a little bit deeper and peel back the layers. And next thing you know, you're fucking on Google Zillion where this person lives.
Yeah.
And what their husband does and how their kid is a little shit and he's in detention. And next thing you know, you have the whole life story. It's amazing.
Well, and that's the other thing that like you and your mom both have, and me too, I would like to say, is that like, I don't like talking shit with people that it's just like very one dimensional. It's just like, you're just talking shit just to talk shit. Like we peel back the layers.
Oh yeah.
We get deep into it.
Especially on vacation.
Yeah.
When you're on vacation and you find the little pockets of people, like when we went to OC. And
yes.
We went to the
Ritz.
Went to the Ritz, but before that, when we were in Newport at the beach house, remember we saw the people at the new restaurant?
Yes, at set.
And then we were just like, who's this rich ass dude with his hot wife and these three little boys on their iPads?
Yeah.
No one's talking to each other.
At this nice restaurant.
And I'm like, this is great. What do they do?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we see him at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Same deal. She's dressed to the nines. He's all fitted. Little kids running around,
all
causing
matching.
a ruckus, all matching, and like Dior and Gucci outfits. It was hilarious.
Yeah, and then that just like added to the bit of us like talking about, you know, what we thought their lives were.
100%.
So we have known each other for over 2.5 years now.
Has it been 2.5 years? Jesus Christ.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Honey.
But that's our little bit that I do whenever he's being bad. I pretend to, you know, just take him by the neck. But anyways, we have known each other for 2.5 years, but I have kind of kept you low key on my social media. And I'm not somebody who like keeps really anything low key on social media, but I think I didn't even like post you at all for maybe like 10 months. And it wasn't even posting you. It was just like reposting a story.
Yeah.
So people have wondered why. People have wondered like our backstory, because it kind of just feels like you appeared out of thin air one day. I'm like, hey, guess what? I have a boyfriend. So I wanted to get into the early days of us, like how we met and like our initial impressions of each other, because I just feel like we had like a special little story.
We have a great story.
I think we have an amazing story.
Yeah.
So how did we meet? How do you want to say it?
We met on an app.
On an app. On two apps.
We met on Bumble and Raya.
Yeah.
We talked on Raya.
No,
we talked on Bumble. We didn't talk on Raya.
So I wouldn't give that to Raya. I'm not giving Raya that.
Don't give it to them.
No, I'm not giving it to Raya.
They'll take it if you give it to
them. They will.
If you give them a muffin.
And Raya's success rate is very low. So I'm not giving him ours.
I don't think Raya is even an app that I think about people getting in relationships with.
Yeah.
It's more so like a socialite hookup type vibe.
It's almost like a verification of like what kind of person this person is, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it almost like legitimized me to you that I was on Raya.
A little bit.
It did?
Yeah, I think it definitely gave me an idea that you were not like a muggle.
A muggle.
You were like,
I was like,
you were like part of the wizard group.
yeah. Well, and you know how I got on Raya was my friend gave me like a buddy pass. Like I got like a fast pass on there, like a side P. Like you
so
actually
like Hermione's like friend that just got taken into the.
I was Hermione's friend, and so I got to go to Hogwarts. But you actually are Harry Potter. Like you got in
I
on
was
your
just
own.
running around on my broom, honey.
Yeah. So we match, and I remember seeing your face on Bumble, and I was like, this guy's really cute. And then I saw Chino Hills, which like interested me because I grew up in Glendora, which is literally 15 minutes away from Chino Hills. Our schools played each other. And it said that you were a founder of Truff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I like hot sauce. And so I just gave you a little swipe, and then we matched.
Here we are.
I know. And do you remember, I think one of my prompts was like, I know the best spot in town, or tell me the best spot in town for
the
margaritas.
margarita?
Yeah. And so that was like I remember I gave you my number, and it took you like a second to text me. Like, I think it was maybe the next day. And I got a text from a 909 number, and I was like, who the fuck is texting me from 909, the Inland Empire? And you were like, I know the best spots in town for margaritas. I was like, all right, give it to me. And do you remember what you said?
Yes. I had no idea.
Austin people will know.
I was like Bolden Acres.
Yeah, Bolden Acres.
What else did I say?
You gave a couple good ones, but Bolden Acres, I was like, this guy doesn't know.
I didn't say La Piscina or
No.
ATX Cocina.
You said ATX and Fresas.
Okay. ATX does have a good one though. The ATX Marg is delicious.
Yeah, Bolden Acres was just the one where I was like, okay, that is like out of left field, but it was good. You gave like options, and then you numbered them 1 through 5, and you said pick a number, and I didn't know like what was on the list, and then I picked 3, and we picked Fresas.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's not our first date.
That's not our first date.
Because I was out with my friends, my college friends, and we were drinking, and I was like a little tipsy. And then I got a text from you, and you're like, hey.
I got a text.
I got a text. It's this guy with a 909 number. And you said, hey, like by any chance, I know we have plans on Saturday, but like, do you want to meet up tonight and go out? And I was like drunk. I was like, yeah, I do, actually.
I got nothing better to do.
Yeah. So then I met up with you and your co-founder, Nick A. You guys were both at 1010, and that was...
Was he with the date too?
Yeah.
That's right.
Uh-huh. And so I remember when you came out of the restaurant to get me, and I like saw your face, and I was just like, oh my God, this guy is like so much cuter in person. Like way, like...
I'm way cuter in person, Justin. Way cuter.
No, but you were so cute in your pictures, but I was just like, oh, like immediately I was just attracted to you. And like your eyes, I was like, and then you started talking, and I was like, oh my God, this guy. Like I just had like an immediate like attraction to you.
That's so
How did you
sweet.
feel about me?
I felt the same exact way.
Oh, you did. You're like, who's this bitch? Yeah. No.
No, I saw you, and what's funny is when you are swiping and digging and doing your diligence on social media, you start to create this image or this persona of somebody that you've never met. And I had thought you were somebody. I'd already kind of put you in a little box.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw you and I started talking to you, I was like, this is not who I had imagined this human being would be in real life, because I'd already thought you were like just this kind of like funny, goofy kind of chick that wore like funny glasses and liked to talk to herself and
on my phone.
put it on the internet.
Yeah.
But you were like way different than I had imagined. You were really pretty. You had really pretty eyes. You're a lot funnier in person than on the internet, which is interesting. And we just hit it off right away.
I know. I remember. Well, also, I was the very first person you went on a date with after you got out of a relationship.
Yes.
Which, when you told me that, I was like, fuck. Because I knew you had a lot of like dating to do.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to do that. And I remember so I guess this is kind of fast forwarding through that part, but I was the first person, and you kind of were going through this like transformation. You had just got done doing 75 hard.
Yep.
That was the first day off of 75 hard.
That's right.
Yeah. You went through this like fitness transformation, and like you definitely were going through like a mental, like, you know, a next step in your life kind of phase. So I remember just being like, I really, really like this guy, but also he needs to kind of explore this time of his life to the fullest, because if he does get into a relationship with me, then there's always going to be this like lingering, like what if, and I'm really glad that we kind of like let that happen the way it did.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a very interesting time in my life. Very transformational, mentally, physically, emotionally, but also at the same time, I'd never been somebody who kind of played like the volume game. I like to get kind of like deep when I'm getting to know somebody. And I find it hard to do that if you're, you know, going on 10 dates a week. It's just like not my vibe.
Yeah.
But I kind of like force myself a little bit to like just kind of go out there and, you know, talk to people and go on these little, you know, weekly responsive ops. And what I found was like nobody had that same connection that you and I had.
Yeah.
And like the conversations and the authentic laughs and being able to just like stay up late into the night talking shit or sharing a meal or a drink or whatever it might be. Like I knew there was something very special there, but I also knew, shit, I just got out of a 3-year relationship.
Yeah.
And this is the first chick that I go on a date with, and I like her and it's cool, but is this like a rebound? Is this like just good luck? What is this? So I really tried to just not jump back into something, but I always felt like I was being pulled back to you.
Yeah, that was definitely something that I wanted you, because I think when you go on a really good first date after you have been in a relationship, it's almost like, well, this, like you feel like there's more of that out there.
Exactly.
So I was like, I want you to go out and date, and so you will appreciate our connection even more, because I had at that point been single for like 6 months, and I knew like this is so special, but because I had that time of like dating other people, so I encouraged you. I was like, please go out there, date. You will see there's nothing like this out there. So have so much fun. But there isn't, like, and I remember I would like force myself to go on dates, and I'd just be sitting there and I'd be like, this guy isn't Nick. This guy is such a fucking loser. Like I have like the best guy ever that is just like in my pocket. But that's when I had to be so patient. But I think one of the good things about like this could have gone really wrong, you know, because like we both knew we were dating other people, but we both knew we had a very good, intense connection. Yeah. But one thing about you that like almost started to irritate me is that you were so honest with me.
We should talk about the honest lifestyle.
That is what I was irritated by. Because every single time, because we met in March, and then by May I was like, fuck, like I have intense feelings for this guy. And I like told you, I was straight up. I was like, hey, I like you. This is why I think we'd be a good couple. What are your thoughts? And you're like, well, I'm dating other people. It's the honest lifestyle. It's the honest lifestyle. And I was
the honest
like,
lifestyle.
I want to fucking chuck the honest lifestyle.
Are we almost done here? I got a date in 30 minutes. Just being honest.
No, that was the worst. I remember one time, we can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it, but you were showing me something on your Apple Watch, and you got a text. That was literally, you got a text, and I had zero friends in Austin at that point. And I knew the person who was texting you. And I was just like, out of all the motherfucking bitches in this city, why do I have to see this text and know the name of the person on the text? And I had to see that person weekly. And I was just like, I wanted to die. And I fucking hated her forever. I still do. You know me, like I just never forget. But like we had to be like very honest. And I feel like that's probably something that people who are dating, like it's hard for people to do, you know?
It is. But I definitely think if you go into a relationship and you show your true intentions from the beginning, I think you actually have a lot more, I don't want to say leverage on the relationship, but when you put all your cards out on the table, I think very quickly you'll start to realize if this person is really into it or if they're not. Mm-hmm. Because if you weren't into it and you weren't somebody that really wanted to continue, you know, hanging out and dating, you would have just been over it.
Yeah.
But in my case, just being honest with you from the beginning, hey, I just got out of a relationship. I really like you. I don't want to jump back into another relationship. Let's keep hanging out. I'm going to be seeing other, you know, people, and let's just like continue having fun. Let's not put a shot, you know, let's not put a shot clock on it. Yeah. Let's just keep doing the thing. And, you know, a year and 8 months later, you forced me to be your boyfriend.
No, I did force you to be my boyfriend. But so that very first night that this is like so me to do this. The very first night, like within the first, 10 minutes I meet you, I'm like, what's your birthday? What time were you born? And you're like, ugh.
Mom, what time was I born?
I made you download
She's like,
CoStar.
Leave her.
Honey, run.
Run.
No, and I found out you're a Virgo, and you are such a stereotypical Virgo. And for people who don't know what Virgos, like their like characteristics are, they are very like analytical, very data driven. Virgos are an earth sign. So when you think about that, they're very like grounded to earth. Whereas I'm an air sign. I'm very like, I go by feelings.
Airy, like airhead?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
A little bit, yeah. But Libras were also ruled by the planet Venus, which is love. So
shout out Venus.
Shout out Venus. But yeah, so I like also kind of knew that about you. And I like, even though it's so stupid, I was just like, he needs the data to like pile up so he knows like how good we are together. Yeah. You know?
What was my moon and my sun? Do you remember?
You are Gemini moon, which ladies, I know, scary. And then a Sagittarius rising.
What does that even mean?
So Geminis they're also another air sign. I love Geminis, which I think is probably why I can handle you. But Geminis are the twins. So a lot of Geminis have like two different sides of themselves. So because your moon sign is the sign that you see yourself as, you kind of see like these two extreme sides, which shows up in you a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you are like an extreme,
like all in or not.
Yeah, you're either like, we're either eating.
Hard to find balance.
Yeah, eating our lives away, or we're like, you know, at the gym 7 days a week, like, you know, whatever.
That's very interesting.
And then Sagittarius, Taylor Swift is a Sagittarius. That's your rising sign. It's a fire sign, and they are like kind of travelers. Like they're very adventurous people. So you are a very adventurous person. Yeah, yeah, and that's how you present. I don't think
you ever even told me this before, or maybe gently. But
yeah. But it's
like,
so
I love
you.
like an adventure, or like a quick little weekend getaway, or
you're
a little
always,
bop.
You
entertain me. Entertain me. I want to be entertained.
Yeah, you constantly need to be entertained, which I love. I mean, I love the adventures, especially with you. Like for me, when people bring me on an adventure, I have to like trust that person, because I've, you know, been in situations where the person's like, let's go on this hike. And it's like 7 hours later, I'm like, we didn't bring enough water. But like, you are such a good planner, and I trust you like implicitly. So when you were like, for example, like our birthday trip to Montana.
Oh my God. Best trip ever.
Best trip
ever.
Best
sound ever. Best trip ever. Sorry, Sandy.
I knew that it would be good because you would be planning it. And also, even if it wasn't good, like we just have so much fun together doing anything, like going to the store, being at like 5-star resorts, like being in a shitty situation. We always have like a positive like take on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too.
I know. But okay, so people wanted to know like what kind of like attracted us to each other? Like how did we know that we were a good fit? And I have my answer, but I want to hear yours.
How do we know we were a good fit?
Yeah.
I think it's so obviously physically attracted to you, but I think when you really start to peel the layers back, I can really feel like I'm being myself, like my weird fucked up self around you, which is like a side of me that not a lot of people see.
Yeah.
I'm more so like on the front end, a little bit different than like in the house with the dog.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing and being comfortable, like I can really be myself and I can really just talk shit and like we can laugh forever. And it feels so natural. It almost feels like I'm dating myself.
You would like that, wouldn't you? So I feel the same exact way. Like you are somebody that I am able to be super raw and honest with and like be my like weird self. But you also on the same end, it doesn't feel like I'm like, I think sometimes in relationships you can like tend to get like a little comfy in the mud and then you just like kind of your baseline of like success kind of drops. You always encourage me to go like reach farther for my goals, know, in like a very encouraging way. Like you're never like, it doesn't feel like you're talking down to me. And I mean, I don't even think we've said this on here, but you are the co-founder of a very successful, very respected brand. And at first it was like intimidating because I'm like in the building stage with my shit, but like you've never used that against me or made me feel less than because of that, Because, and you know so much. And like you also know because I'm doing content and you've built your brand on content and you use that to like build me up.
Yeah.
And
I think I see where you're headed and I can see kind of like, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead. And I know like the potential and everything you've done, but also like what's left to conquer. And there's just so much opportunity and your personality and your personal brand and all the brands that you're building, like the world needs to see it. And I think as you continue to just nailing down all these little things, the world's going to be your oyster.
Oyster? I hardly know her. Well, okay, let's get into so we talked about the early stages of our relationship. And I think one of the big turning points in our relationship was, do you know, kind of like a big shift.
Oh, when you got your boobs done.
No, a couple weeks before.
Shout out Dr. Ashley Gordon.
Yeah, Restora, thank you. But we took this trip, and so
oh my God, the Cabo,
best trip ever,
the Cabo Bop.
So this is kind of this was a turning point in our relationship. So Nick was going to Greece for his co-founder's sister's wedding. And I remember right before Greece, we had the best weekend ever. It was just 3 days. It was a 3-day weekend. We had 3 back-to-back, amazing days and nights together. And after that, I was like,
where do we go? Do you remember?
We had one of our best date nights. It was Justine's and Daynata. Remember that night?
Yes.
And I think we also had Commodore in the mix too.
Wait, was that did we go to Barton?
Barton? No, that was in May.
Okay.
That was one of our other.
When you spilled chicken nachos on my Air Force Ones.
Yeah, and you were like,
So, well, now I'm gonna have to walk around with one shoe.
But so we had this amazing weekend and I was like, okay, I am no longer able to be around this person and not know that they're not dating other people. So I didn't give you an ultimatum. I just said hey, I want this. You're not ready for that. So you're going to go to Greece for a couple weeks. And I think it was a 3-week span where I knew I just wasn't going to see you and I could just let the relationship air itself out. And I kind of just pulled away a little bit. Mm-hmm. And after you got back from Greece, then you called me and you were like, do you want to go to Cabo with me for my birthday? And I was like, hold on, let me check my Yep, yeah. I want to go to Cabo with you for your birthday. Cabo, yes. So that I kind of was the turning point because you knew where I was at. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm obsessed with you. And so there's that. So we go to Cabo. And it's this trip so you have a lot of really amazing entrepreneur friends. Mm-hmm. And these are people all the brands. So here's little old me who's talking shit on the internet and we roll up and it's the co-founders of Venus at Fleur, the flowers that I see all the Kardashians use. And then there's Stephen Borelli from Cuts. And then there's the Movement guys. And I'm just these people are all so amazing. They've built these amazing brands and who's little old me? What do you do for work, Jade? TikTok. But I think, and then, you know, obviously then it's you and Nick, and it's like the Avengers. Like everyone has like their own little like brand identity. It's like you and Nick come in and you're like in the all black, like Air Force Ones. You have like your Steve Jobs of Truff outfits on. And then it's like the Venus, Sunny and Seaman. They're like so glamorous and they're like always like so fashiony. And then like Steven's got his like, you know, Cuts outfit on, and like the Movement guys have like that San Diego swag. It just like, it felt like the Avengers, you know? So it was a very intimidating thing to come into. And now it kind of like opened up my eyes to the entrepreneur world, and like how there's a lot of people who are like, we call them cappers.
Yeah, capper doodle doos.
Yeah. And I think I realized on that trip, like how respected you are. Cause everyone's just like, oh my God, Truff is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, this guy is like even cooler. Like he's getting cooler by the second. But that trip was so much fun.
Talk about like an all or nothing crew.
Oh, yeah. But it is funny because also all of you are Virgos. Like every single one of you is Virgos, except for Seema. She's a Taurus, a fellow Venus sign. But you could just see like they are all planners. Like there is one little like thing going wrong. 5 of them are on it, fixing it. And I'm just like, okay, this is like a different level of human being. Like these people are all highly, highly functioning like individuals.
Extreme bias for action. Extreme.
Yeah. Every second of this trip was planned. There was party buses.
Plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds.
Yeah. And it was just a lot, but it also just like kind of opened my eyes, and it also kind of gave it me inspiration to kind of shoot a little higher for my dreams and like my goals. Cause I'm like, if you know, when you first started Truff, and we'll get into that, like you tell everyone, hey, I'm going to start a truffle infused hot sauce brand. Like, what do people say to you?
What is truffle?
So it's like, for me, I'm like, okay, maybe my dreams aren't so crazy, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm a true believer in surrounding yourself with people that you're either inspired by or allow you to look at the world through a fresh lens. And I think being able to surround myself with a lot of these entrepreneurs, start to realize like, not only do I have a lot in common with these people, but they're also helping me, even if they know it or not, to reach my dreams or to, you know, shoot a little bit higher.
Yeah. I love your friends. They're so much fun. And I also I love talking shit with them too, because they all love to talk shit.
They all love, the group texts go crazy.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like people, when I started this, like people are like talking shit. I'm like, everyone talks shit, but like the people who have the talent of like being able to chop it up, like a Dave Portnoy, he's an expert shit talker, you know? And I feel like highly successful people, like they can talk shit too.
They can.
Yeah.
Especially if you put a bunch of shit talkers in a little room together. Like, for example, when we were in New York at the Hamptons.
Yes.
Remember the yap sessions that were going on there? I had to remove myself from the yap sessions because it was getting too yappy.
I was therapizing all the guys. I was like, okay, so let's talk about why you were single. They're like, okay, let's dig into where should I begin? Okay, so let's talk about when I forced you to be my boyfriend.
Okay.
So at this point, we're in December. So we met in March 2022. I am in December, bitches. And I'm like, we're exclusive now. Like that was our title. We're exclusive. So my friends are like, is he your boyfriend? I'm like, not quite. And I kind of realized like I got to a point where I was over having to like, I guess explain things to my friends. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like that I'm not your girlfriend. So I want to be your girlfriend. And if this isn't a title you're willing to give me, maybe we shouldn't be together. And so I remember we just got done eating at Dean's, one of your favorite steakhouses. And I was like,
it's gone a little downhill, but it used to be my favorite.
What's your favorite now?
Jay Carver.
Yeah.
For steak.
I love Jay Carver's. It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
But I was like, okay, I want to be your girlfriend. And what did you say?
Bartender, get me another.
You're like, you were started squirming in your seat.
I was like, do I have a choice?
But I remember you were like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I need to go to the bathroom. And you and I, like, we never argue. We're very good communicators of like healthy communicating. It like never gets really tense, but it was getting a little tense. And I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I came back.
And when I come back, you're either going to be my boyfriend
or I better have an Uber home.
An Uber pool.
Yeah. An Uber pool. So I was like, I got back and you were like, okay, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, no, not like that. I want you to like actually want this. So we're going to revisit this. But then you were like, finally like, oh fuck, I kind of pissed her off. So you kept being like, okay, no, like you're my girlfriend. This is my
girlfriend. Come here, girlfriend.
Yeah. And it took you a while. And that is the Virgo side of you, I'm sure. But how did you feel about that?
It was interesting because I knew I really liked you. I knew I was going to give you the respect of being exclusive and not, seeing other women. But I still felt at that point, the title was like, I don't want to say the nail in the coffin, but it was like closing the door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with closing the door, but I like to see out the window still. This was like, close the door, close the shade.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, there's my girl now.
Yeah. Well, you and I are both very, very loyal people.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, like, I'm not a girl who has a bunch of boyfriends. Like, I don't meet a guy and after 2 weeks, I call them my boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I was totally okay with like taking a long time to get there, but it took like an extra month longer than I was like really ready for. And I also think that when we're the type of people, when you put a title on something, we're really like giving our all to that.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably a big thing for you too.
Absolutely. And when I think about relationships, I think about like, it's almost a privilege to be in a relationship. Like,
yeah,
it's a privilege to be your boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's a privilege for you to be my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And when you have the title on it, in my head, my Virgo head, I'm married to this person.
Yeah.
There's no other person I'm looking at. There's no other people I'm going to be flirting with, talking to. Like, you're my girl now.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, it was, okay, like, this is my girl. Like, I'm married to her. This isn't something that I'm just going to, be casual about. This is my girl.
Yeah.
And in my head, the relationship title thing, like you said, I wasn't the one that was just going to throw titles on things like, oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my girl, this is my girlfriend. It's like, no, this is like my girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think the title for us means a lot more than it might to other people.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of people we are. I think it also is probably our upbringing, because we both had a very similar upbringing. Our parents have been together forever. And that's like a blessing that we got to see that. Like, we talk about that a lot too. We're like, it's amazing that like we've seen our parents go through really hard times and stick together.
Yeah.
And I don't think some people have that. And that's our perspective on like monogamy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents have been married for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Like high school sweethearts. And in my head, that's like kind of something that I naturally gravitate towards. Like, okay, when I'm with somebody, this is like my forever person.
Yeah.
And making that commitment, whether it's, saying, okay, this is my girlfriend, is almost just as strong as like, marrying somebody.
Yeah. Well, and you said that you were like, when I commit to somebody, like I am basically saying I would marry you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't have to think about marriage yet. I just need girlfriend before wife. But we did get there.
Yeah. And that's something I'm trying to like work on, because it's kind of the all or nothing mindset.
Yeah.
You're all in on this person, or you're like not.
Yeah. And that's your mindset with everything that you do.
Yeah.
Like, you go balls to the wall with whatever you do, which has made you so successful.
Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, I can think of 10 that are, males, very successful, in their late 20s or in well into their 30s.
Yeah.
And they still struggle with this thing. And I think it's trying to find the balance between not hindering yourself from exploring a relationship further, because kind of like when I mentioned when I first met you, I had already built this character that I'd never even met.
Yeah.
And I think when a lot of men, whether they're entrepreneurs or somebody in kind of the similar vein, when they start to date somebody, they already simulate 6 months out, 12 months out, a year, 2 years out, what it would be like without actually putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And if you lean into it, you'll know quickly enough if this person is worth pursuing. Whereas if you're kind of like in and out, shake it all about, you're never gonna really understand if this is somebody worth spending, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years down the road with, unless you actually like lean into it.
100%. I totally see that, especially with high functioning individuals that like entrepreneurs like yourself. I also think that you expect greatness for yourself, your business, every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
You have this high level of like perfection almost. And when you're dating someone, it's never perfect, and
Exactly.
the other person's never perfect. So it's hard to like look, and we talked about this also early in our relationship. Like everyone is going to have things about them that aren't perfect, but like how close to perfection can you get?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's an issue where people are like always like dating, trying to find the perfect person without giving time to some situations.
Absolutely. And I think like a relationship it's a choice. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that I actually like worked through in that period of transformation, through therapy and just reading and talking to a lot of people. And it's like, when you have this type of mindset, you almost feel like you can get stuck.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship that you aren't happy with, you will just be in that relationship because you feel like you've made the choice to be in this thing and you're stuck in it.
Yeah.
And that's when there's a lot of like toxic energy within a relationship. Mm-hmm. But just as well as being able to choose to be in a relationship, you can also choose to not be in a relationship. And that muscle in my brain was never like functioning. Uh-huh. And I think as soon as I got out of that type of thing, it started to make me realize like, oh, like I can lean into something. And if it's working very well, I can continue to be committed to that. But if it's not working, I can also remove myself from it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. I mean, I literally I'm loyal to a fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, if somebody's not treating me right, I will try to fix it to like the point where it's unfixable and I'm just like stuck in a shitty situation.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm out of those and I'm in a good one with my shuggy. Let's go through. Okay, so some people have some questions about Truff. Now, there's a ton of podcasts where you can go and hear Nick and Nick talk about co-founding Truff. I liked you guys on Steven's podcast, Stephen Borelli's podcast.
That was a good one. We talked some shit on there.
Yeah, because you guys are like real friends and you kind of let your guard down a little bit where you guys because you and Nick have such good banter. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are so funny together. I love like just seeing you guys like interact because I can just see like
it's a true yin and yang relationship.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's give like a little taste of like what it was like in the early days of Truff, like building Truff. We know the story. You got the Instagram handle, Sauce.
Yeah. So I mean the early days were very much Nick and I just figuring shit out along the way.
Yeah.
And it started with me getting the Instagram account Sauce.
Yeah.
Back in 2015. This is when still around like college time, just got out of college. I was like a super senior, 5-6 year type of person.
You didn't even know the term super senior until I told you super senior.
Nice try. Nick GTMNT. Now they're stolen
That's a
bits.
JPTM.
Talk about stealing people's bits. Steal like an artist, I'll tell you that much. So I just got the Instagram account Sauce on IG back in 2015.
You were just like testing out words.
Yeah, this is something I would do. I was like scooping up kind of like the domain days.
Yeah.
Where people were getting, the one word .coms.
Yeah.
I was doing that on IG. And I'd got the handle Sauce and I knew like right at that point, oh shit, this is like kind of cool. Like sauce on Instagram. Like this has to be like something. So I call up my buddy Nick, who I had been working with on various projects throughout college. He had like a powdered beverage brand and, you know, a bunch of other cool things. And I was like, dude, I just got sauce on IG. This is crazy. Let's do something with it. So we like instantly just started collaborating on the account. We started to post cool things that we thought would resonate well with a pop culture foodie. So like hot chicks holding pizza up over their tits, rappers, cool cars, burger porn with yolk dripping down.
Yeah.
And we started to amass this following of like cool foodie, pop culture type people. And, you know, some celebrities started following the account. Some big media outlets started following the account. Like, okay, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with it? And eventually we realized like, hey, let's create a product. Let's create a brand and kind of use this account as the means to the masses.
Yeah.
The way to, you know, communicate what this thing is. And we already had built this little community. So we looked at different sauces. We looked at, you know, pasta sauces. We looked at salad dressings, barbecue sauces, hot sauces. And hot sauce to us was like cool.
Yeah.
We both liked hot sauce. Beyonce was talking about hot sauce, you know, in her bag. And it was becoming a thing like within pop culture that hot sauce was like relevant.
Yeah.
Hoi Fong Sriracha was kind of having its little moment.
Yes.
And, you know, went to the grocery store and we didn't see any like cool top shelf luxury hot sauce brand. No one had done, you know, the Ciroc of hot sauce, attached a cool lifestyle to the hot sauce. No one had done the Dom Perignon of hot sauce where they're using, you know, really high-end ingredients to actually tell the story about what the product is. So we're like, okay, let's create like the first top shelf hot sauce. Okay, what's going to make it top shelf? We actually have to have really good ingredients. Can't be just some, you know, cappy ass gimmick that we throw on the shelf and say, oh, this is luxury hot sauce. Like we actually have to make a very true, authentic formula and a recipe with real integrity that tastes amazing. It was very unique. It stood out from the rest. And we looked at saffron and caviar and truffle. And truffle and spice was kind of a thing that was frowned upon within the culinary world to mix. And to us, that was a little bit disruptive. It was something that was kind of new. It was going to kind of shake things up a little bit in the culinary world. And also, people already kind of had an idea what truffle was, like truffle fries, like the bougier foodie would already know what truffles were. So we started to order just a bunch of different ingredients from all over the world. And, you know, we shipped them to Nick's parents' house. And like mad scientists, we just went to work in the kitchen, mixing and matching a bunch of different things together and a bunch of different recipes, a bunch of different chili blends and a bunch of different truffle blends and different sweeteners and agave. And we looked at honey and different sugars and cumin and all kinds of different spices. We probably had 300 different variations of the recipe. And, you know, we landed on one that we thought was very unique. It tasted incredible. And we got feedback from a bunch of people. So from about 2015 to 2017, this was kind of the behind the work scenes that we were doing, building what the brand would look like, how it would be received from the consumer, what the product actually tasted like. And, you know, the packaging, custom lid, custom bottle. We really wanted this thing to be very special and we wanted to be ready for the world to see. We didn't want to come out with like a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
So we launched in 2017 and when people saw it, they're like, wow, this is special.
Yeah. Well, somebody saw it and thought it was really special and it was a very special person.
NTO?
NTO. Like what did it feel like when you found out Oprah loved your product that you made? It was your brand, your brainchild.
Yeah.
Made something that Oprah was like, this is special.
So Nick and I, very, very naive at the time, right? This is in 2018. We get an email from, you know, Hearst, I think, which owns
her publication.
Yeah. And we didn't know what this thing was. Like, Nick got the email and he was like almost gonna just archive it. And we started asking, you know, some of our founding team, and they're like, guys, you don't know what Oprah's favorite things is? This is like the biggest thing for the holiday gift guide world. And our product fits so well as a gift in like a holiday gift guide. We didn't even put two together. Like, this could be the biggest thing for the brand in its first year. And finally, you know, we get to speaking with them a little bit more, and we like didn't really hear back. And then I think in like August of 2018, we get an email that says, congratulations, you've been chosen to be, or you've been chosen as one of Oprah's favorite things for the holiday season. Your original black truffle hot sauce has made the list. And then, so we had already been on fire.
Yeah.
So our first 10 months of business was like crazy.
Like, you came out of the gates hot.
Hot.
Because you guys are also really good. I mean, tell the people how you did it, because I feel like you are really, really good at like growth hacking and finding that's like your secret, like super talent, right?
Mm-hmm. So we had a very interesting opportunity. One, there was still the opportunity to create these massive land grabs digitally through paid media.
Facebook ads,
Facebook ads. And also, we were in a category of brands that had never been built on the internet. Mm-hmm. So the relationships that we were building with these customers were direct, whereas all of these legacy brands, they were built within the grocery store. So these customers had never really interacted with the brand one-to-one. It was like, okay, you go buy it at H-E-B or Albertsons or whatever. So we knew we're going to establish kind of this, we're going to put a stake in the ground and say, we're going to be the cool online luxury hot sauce brand that actually cares about the customers, that is speaking to the customers. Like Nick and I were in, you know, the customer service emails, talking to people all day, sending DMs on IG, responding to the comments, responding to, you know, all of the comments on the ads. And we were really developing these relationships from the ground up with our community. Yeah. And it started to just create this flywheel of people that liked the brand, respected the brand. When they actually tasted it, it was extremely unique, nothing they'd never had before, very giftable. They wanted to put other people on. Oh, have you heard about Truff? Gifting Truff. And it turned into like this social currency where if you were to give something to somebody, it almost boosts your ego. Yeah, like you're the one who found this cool new hot sauce. Yes, and you guys do it now with like the first person to find this makeup product. Whatever you guys do that now. I don't do that. No, that's the thing that everyone always, they're like, oh my gosh, I give sauce to everyone. And then you credit the person that put you on. Yeah, exactly. But if you don't credit the person that put you on, you're a plagiarizer. You're a princess of plagiarism. Princess of plagiarism. Shout out to my plagiarists. But anyways, back to me. Back to you, Oprah. So you're hot. So we're hot, right? Coming out the gate hot. First 10 months of business was insane. Yeah. And then Oprah's Favorite Things launched in November. So like we did the same amount of revenue that we had done in the first 10 months just in November. That's crazy. And then we did the same in December. So we basically like tripled our business in the last 2 months of the year because of the crazy holiday gift guide exposure. That is so crazy. And then what does it feel like? Because I asked you this, like when I'm looking at my downloads and I'm like, okay, I've got a long way to go. But like you guys are coming out of the gate so hot. Like what does it feel like to see people buy your product? It really felt good because, you know, we had been at it, you know, and I had been at it over 10 years prior to this, just working on little businesses, trying, getting my reps in, and nothing really hit. But this one, like we knew, wow, this one's special. Yeah, because Nick had Nick's Sticks, the powdered beverage. Oh, Nick's Fix. And then you had a hat company, Cranium. Yeah. And you actually sold that. Yeah. And this was like your next like big thing. So it's just crazy because I always think about you guys
and like, you know, your friends, when I'm like working through ideas, you know, I'm like, it doesn't have to be this thing, but like I'm getting my reps in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to get your reps in. And one of the things I want to do is, I haven't done it, but I want to build like, you know, my own personal website. And I want to put a timeline of all of the projects that I've worked on over my whole life. And next to each product or company, I'm going to write kind of, you know, a short 2 to 3, 4 sentence thing on the things that I actually learned.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed it's all kind of built, every little thing that I've worked on over the last 10 years has, you know, layered on to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it, but every little thing that you do kind of helps guide or helps bring knowledge to whatever you're doing now.
Yeah, because Truff wasn't your first attempt at being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, those small compounding efforts over time all, you know, help down the road.
But people always ask me like what it's like, you know, dating somebody like this, you know, like, oh, what's it like with Truff? Does he work all the time? Blah, blah, blah. But I think it's funny because in the beginning of our relationship, we kind of like one of our early like little tension points was that I wouldn't talk about Truff. Like I wouldn't bring it up. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you like brought it up and you were like, it kind of like hurts my feelings because this is like my baby.
It's my life.
Yeah.
It's literally like my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost felt like I had this thing that consumed my life that I was never able to kind of talk and share. And I didn't know if you just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't know how to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah. And to me, I knew how precious Truff was to you. And so I was like, okay, he's going to let me in when he's ready because it felt like this really like magical thing that like I wasn't worthy of being in because it felt like super intimate, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like meeting somebody's family or something, you know? And I didn't want to go there too soon.
Yeah.
But that was something that I had to adjust. And now we talk about it all the time. Like it's, you know, easy, but it was the first couple of months I was like scared to talk about Truff.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
No, that was definitely funny.
Yeah. And then another thing, I don't even know, I think I might have told you this, but when we first started dating, before we started dating, before I even swiped and matched with you, I had a list, like my vision board.
Yeah.
And it was, I wanted a hot sauce collaboration. And And I like wrote that on my vision board and I feel like this is how it manifested.
That's hilarious.
But it was so funny because I had it up on my wall in my office. And I remember the first time you came over to my house, I didn't even think about it. And then I woke up the next morning and I like ripped it off the wall and like stuck it in a drawer because I didn't want you to think that I was like hanging out with you because like I was trying to like get a hot sauce collab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was so, because people are like, oh, does he know how much you like hot sauce? I'm like, now he does, but.
How was that first time that I came over to your house?
It was fun.
Do you remember?
Do I remember?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. How was it?
No, I mean, I don't know if you had any like special memories of me coming over to your house for the first time.
Oh, well, I remember I like scrubbed my house from top to bottom because I'm like, this guy's a Virgo. He's going to know every fucking imperfection in this house. I was
Baseboards got scuffs on them.
And like, also I'd been over to your house and your house was so nice. And I was like, okay, I'm living in this like little apartment near Barton Springs. I was like so nervous. I'm like, I
liked it. It was cute. It felt very homey.
Yeah.
And it felt very welcoming.
Yeah. And you're always like so like humble and just like very like, you're a very graceful person. You're just like, oh my gosh, I love your apartment. I'm like, do you?
They still make popcorn ceilings?
Okay. So how long have we been yapping for?
An hour.
And 14 minutes. Jesus Christ, we could go forever. Okay. Let's pull up some questions, from the fans. I want to give the listeners like a name, and this is a stolen bit from you, but Nosy the Riveters.
Nosy the Riveters.
Because we're both so nosy.
Or the Teeters.
The Teeters. Okay. Why did you choose to live in Austin over California? Why did you?
So I was in California all my life for 31 years. And I had migrated to Los Angeles. I was living in downtown LA. This is peak COVID. And at the time, downtown LA was kind of on the come up. And we just moved into like this really cool neighborhood in South Park, brand new building, absolutely beautiful, all the amenities, super hyped. Next thing you know, COVID hits and the world shuts down. The building basically shuts down. Civil unrest starts. The homelessness goes crazy again.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is hell. We need to get out of here. And we felt trapped. And we had been doing, you know, a lot of business in Austin. You know, Whole Foods HQ is here. Some of our team was already from Austin. And Austin has a great CPG entrepreneur network. And it was very centrally located, so easy for us to kind of travel. And, you know, some other things had happened in some of our lives. So we kind of just wanted, I don't want to say a fresh start, but something new, a new chapter. And Austin was amazing for that.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like we do have the invisible string, you know, the Taylor Swift, you know that song?
Yeah.
But I was thinking the other day, and our invisible string actually kind of goes even further.
I didn't even think about it until I just thought about it now.
Our grandparents?
No. But
what?
You talk about your grandparents first.
So I think it's interesting because your dad's mom and dad are both from Mexico.
Yeah.
But your grandma came to Texas before she came to California.
Yeah.
So your grandma crossed the Rio Grande, which Nick's grandma is 90 years old. She is such an amazing woman. Just to think of like how...
Shout out Nana.
Nana. We went to her 90th birthday. It was the cutest thing ever. She's a poet and she has... all of your dad's family is so close.
Yeah.
And so all the grandkids read one of her poems and it's all in Spanish. So it's so funny because these kids are trying to speak Spanish and you guys are like, que por es luna en noche. But anyway, so it's funny because your grandma came to Texas and then she moved to California to look for a better opportunity. My grandma was born and raised in Texas, came to California for a better opportunity. And they both landed within like 30 miles of each other, you know,
Crazy.
I mean, I guess LA County.
Yeah.
We both, they both lived in LA County. And then, you know, like the families happen or whatever. We're both born within 15 minutes away from each other. And then, you know, my story, I go to Texas, Indiana, I come back, but then I land in Orange County. You had moved to Orange County.
Yeah.
And then we both moved to Austin in 2021.
Yeah. So that last part, because I knew we grew up, you know, 15 minutes within each other, but I also always forget, like, we were literally in Orange County at the same time. We probably we might have made out.
I think I would remember. I'm not that kind of girl, you know.
Are you?
I am not. I'm a good girl. But you were also an Uber driver. Like you could have easily.
You could have been in the back seat, passed out one day, and I could have dropped you off.
I know, but it's just so funny because it's like there's so many of these little points in our life that like brought us to each other. But like I would not have been ready for somebody like you, I think, any earlier in my life.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like I just feel like we are both like fully evolved at this point to like we're ready to like take the next step with each other. And I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And I love our relationship.
Me too.
It's one of my favorite things in my life.
It's my one thing.
It's my one thing. My one thing is our relationship. So I think we've been yapping for a really long time. So we should probably wrap it up because we've got a pool party to get to. Yeah. But thank you so much. You are just, I hope that everyone gets to see what a special human being you are. Like, I feel so grateful. Every single night I go to bed and I'm just like, thank you so much for introducing me to this person. And like, I don't think I've ever truly felt real respect in a relationship both ways until I met you. And now like, I'm just so grateful for it. And I just hope that you feel that. And I'm going to cry.
Don't cry.
Because I love you so much.
I love
and
you.
you just like literally like are an angel.
I love you.
I'm going to cry.
And I'm grateful for you. And I'm so proud of you. I love watching you chase your dreams. And you're going to continue kicking ass.
Thanks. Well,
And I got a roommate now.
My roommate. So where can they find you? Do you want to shout out your personals?
They're nosy enough. They'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. But you should follow Truff. I mean, if you're not following Truff, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
At Sauce.
Yeah.
And follow me at It's Me, Jade B. And make sure to share this episode with all your friends. If you hate me, just send it me like, can you believe that she had him on her podcast? Or just share it because you actually like the episode. That'd be even better.
And subscribe to her YouTube. We have a bet.
What's our bet?
I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Subscribe to the YouTube.
We have a bet. We're going to figure it out. But thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, rate, do all the things, and see you next week.
Toodles.
Bye.